Welcome to your daily dose of hope. I'm Phyllis Nichols, and I'm glad you're here. Travel has a funny way of showing us what's really important, I think. On my flight recently, I was supposed to take about 2.5 hours, and instead, I was on the airplane for about 6 hours. Weather forced us to divert. We were getting ready to land, and there was a storm. And so we kind of circled. I don't know, that's not probably the right word, but we were flying around, not landing. And then they came over and said, hey, we're going to have to go to this other airport. It's not too far away because we're running out of fuel. We need to refuel and then we'll come back. So we do that. But we get to the other airport, again, not far away. It only took like 10, 15 minutes to get there. Then there's a storm there. So they can't refuel us until the storm ends. And that took like an hour and a half. Then they finally let us take off and, land at our destination. But the thing is, like, none of this was anybody's fault, right? None of us can control the weather. And I was worried that people might get frustrated. I mean, it was a frustrating situation for sure. I mean, I wasn't thrilled, but I didn't have a connecting flight I needed to worry about. I was just by myself, kind of on my own schedule. I was disappointed I didn't get there when I thought I would, but it also didn't really change my plans or hinder things in any way. And I'm sure that wasn't the case for other people. But instead, people just kind of chatted with each other. They encouraged us to stand up a little bit, move around, since we were having to sit on the tarmac for a really long time. So a few people let their kids down to run up and down the aisle a little bit just to burn off energy. And people were kind of laughing and, the kids were high-fiving and stuff. The flight attendants did their best. They were so nice. They were trying to make sure everybody had what they needed. They were trying to keep everybody comfortable. The crew really was amazing. And, they were really making efforts to be calm and also to make sure people were as comfortable as possible. The pilot was really amazing too. She updated us like every 20 minutes or so, which I think is why certainly my frustration level didn't get so high, because not knowing, like, if they would have sat there for an hour and a half without an update, like, that would have been super frustrating, right? Because we don't know then if it's like, they're just not refueling us because they don't feel like it. I mean, you wouldn't know what was happening. So the team, they did everything they could to explain what was happening, keeping us up to date. Like, here's the next step. Here's what we're waiting for. Here's what's going on. And I just felt like this is such a simple reminder that when circumstances are beyond our control, in this situation, people were really gracious. And it's opposite, I think, sometimes of the stories that we hear, certainly online, right? We hear these loud stories about people being impatient or angry or rude to each other, but that's not what happened. And I think it made me realize that most people are kind. Most people are doing their best. They're living their lives, trying to get where they're going and just take care of themselves and their families or whoever they're with. So just a reminder, we have a lot more in common than we think, and maybe we can just look for the kindness. This podcast is part of the Sound Advice FM network. Sound Advice FM, women's voices amplified.